Each of the chart types on the left-hand side of the screen give a report author the options to configure, make this report their own, add texture without IT cost. The radar chart is a rather sophisticated looking chart, but very easy to generate. So I clicked on the radar chart, and the first thing I want to do is add scores. The radar chart is great for looking at scores alongside each other. So let's say I have an invalid score, I have a skipped item score, I have an all correct score, and it doesn't matter what the scores are, but imagine that you have several score types and you want to see what those would look like side by side. I'm going to add a new row. I'm going to take this radar chart, drop it in there so we can see it in a little bigger context. I'm going to drag it up so we'll see it at the top of the second page. Admittedly, this looks terrible at this point. The numbers are crunched, so we need to do some formatting to make this look better. I can change it to a polygon or a circle. A lot of people call this a spider chart because it looks like a spider web, but maybe there are a couple scores that I need to add. So maybe there's an SD score that I can put in there, and I want to add different colors perhaps to each of these scores, but let's finish. It looks a little better right now. So we see on this radar or spider chart, we're going to see where the SD score is, where the invalid score is, where the skipped item score is, etc., etc. I can then add some colors to that. Perhaps I want to add a, let's just do it quickly so we can see what it looks like. So I've got something red, I've got something green, I've got something blue. Let's add yellow, and then we'll finish with, that's too close, something purple. So we click finish. Now we see that each of our scores have a different texture in the middle or a box in the middle to show those different scores. It may make most sense as we're laying this out to say, no, I don't want to see different scores. I really just want to see them connected. So I want them all to be roughly the same color, and I want them to be this reddish color. So we can see what that looks like. So you start to see the different scores and the disparity between each. This tends to visualize where my strengths or my highest scores are. So we can see my percentage correct, kind of skews it down and to the left. These are used sometimes in disk profiles when you want to see how one score is relating to another. It could be used in a competency profile. So you have 12 different competencies and you want to see what that looks like. That's in a circle format. We'll just change some of these options so you can see how it changes. So the polygon makes it a pentagon in this case. So maybe if you always have 5 scores, you want that pentagon to show up. You can have grid lines appear, not appear. You can not show the numbers. So a lot of formatting that you can do there. If you want certain things to be solid, you want it to be vertical center gradient. I don't know what this is going to look like, if it's going to look nice or not, but we'll see that kind of lay out. So you can make your graph kind of change. So it adds a little bit of texture that might look a little nicer depending on how you typically color your reports. But in general, this is what a radar chart does. It lets you take 5 or 6 or 12 or however many items, and you can see how it skews based on the higher and the lower scores. As with other chart types, you can change the width and the height and border colors and put a background image behind this. Maybe you want your company logo behind your radar chart. You could do that. And to view it, as always, go up, click on the eyeball. We'll generate some random values, or you could key in scores that you would specifically want to see what they look like. And then you can see what it would look like in a real setting. So you may think, hey, that looks pretty nice, or you may think, I don't like that it shows the scale from 100 to 0. I'd like to get rid of that. So you can get rid of your scale. Or maybe you say, I need a box around this. It looks like it's kind of floating in the middle of the report. But lots of options around what you can do with the radar chart. And that's a great way to show different scores together and strengths and weaknesses.